Hello, I'm Green Beauty ASMR, and today I have for you a very long list of personal questions. To make this experience a little bit different, I have decided to include questions that I would ask in a therapy intake or a mental health assessment. So, as we continue through this activity, you will find topics such as childhood experiences, general mental health reflections, but also things like your likes and dislikes, and other sort of things that make you who you are. I invite all of you to use this opportunity to reflect and genuinely listen and think about how you would respond to the following prompts. As we move through this activity, I will be gently typing your responses, and please know that all your answers are confidential. This space is a judgment-free space, and I may even share with you some answers of my own. So, let's go ahead and get started with our questionnaire. Let us begin with the basics. Please tell me your first and last name, your date of birth, your preferred pronouns, please. Great. And are you partnered? Okay. So let us jump right in. What is your biggest insecurity? Yes, I understand that. This could be a physical trait or an interpersonal or characterological trait. Okay. Next, why would somebody fall in love with you? Yes, this is one that we have to take some time to think about. Oh, I love that answer. That's wonderful. Next, how do you know when you're in love? Yes, I do think that we can fall in love more than once. And I think that there are all different types of love as well. So this question in particular is asking about romantic love and how do you know when you're in love? Is it a feeling on the inside? Is it a sensation in the heart or in the tummy? Right. Okay. Now for this following question, I invite you to close your eyes and take a moment to sort of do a life scan and think about your childhood. And I want you to identify your most painful childhood memory. Yes, this might feel a little unpleasant, but I assure you, you are safe here in this space with me. So think about your most painful childhood memory. Yes. I understand that. Yeah. Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. Right. My most painful childhood memory, well, I was an early teenager. I was 14, and my most painful memory is losing my father. Yeah, and it's important that we know that it doesn't matter the trigger or the event or the experience. My sadness or experience of pain is no more or less than yours. All emotional experiences are the same. Next question. Was there ever a time in your childhood where you felt abandoned by somebody you love? Uh-huh. Yes, it could be related to the previous question or a separate question entirely. It does not need to be related. Okay. All right. Have you ever been physically harmed by somebody you love? Okay. All right. What is the biggest lie you have ever told? Okay. I hear that. Yes, that does feel like a very large lie. I can see how you think that that is very heavy. Okay, something a little bit lighter. What is your guilty pleasure? Mine is definitely chocolate and soda. You like to binge watch? Yes. And guilty pleasure does not need to be food. It could be anything you'd like. Okay. Great. And moving on here, what is your biggest regret? Yeah. I think we have a lot of regrets a lot of the time, especially as we continue to age and move forward into adulthood. We often create this list in our mind of what we regret doing this, we regret not doing this or saying that, and we get really stuck in these loops where we go round and round with this sort of unfinished business or these hang-ups on mistakes we feel we have made. When I'm asking you about your biggest regret, I'm asking you to think very deeply into something that's meaningful. And that's to say, was there something you wish you would have said? Was there something you wish you wouldn't have said, or maybe you wished you would have done or didn't do? And for me, I think with this question, like I said, there are many regrets. One of the most biggest ones for me is when my father was sick. I was obviously very young and confused and overwhelmed and trying to understand and make sense of the experience of terminal cancer and what that meant for him and for our family. And one day, my father asked me to go for a walk. Did I want to go for a walk with him? And I said no, because I felt, I don't know if you remember the feeling when you're young and you don't really want to be around your parents, yet you want your parents so bad, and you want to be cool and you don't want to spend meaningful time with them. It was something along those lines, and he asked me to go for a walk and I declined. And it was not that long. It was maybe a year later that he eventually passed. And I will tell you right now, I wish so badly that I took that walk with him. Okay, next question. Oh, now we're moving into some juicy stuff like sex. How old were you when you lost your virginity? Okay. And who did you lose your virginity to? Oh, I see. Very good. Yes, we all remember that, don't we? And then we have a question that's also very important to ask anytime we're talking about intimacy, sexual intimacy. And that question is, did you ever have a sexual experience that you regret? Okay. Did you ever have a sexual experience that you did not want to have? Okay, we're going to talk more about that later on. All right, next we have, what would you do if you saw an injustice occur right in front of you? It's happened to you before. Okay, tell me about that experience, please. Wow. I see, and you intervened. Okay. Yes, that is definitely a risk we take in terms of safety, and oftentimes it's very necessary depending on the context of the situation, who is being victimized, who is being the aggressor, and what you represent if you choose to step in. Very good. Okay, next question. How do you receive criticism? Okay, of course we all like to think that we receive it with grace and open arms, but that is not the case, even for the most developed of us. Great. I hear you. Very good. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worthy of love do you feel you are? Okay, good. I like to hear that. Very good. Very good. Because really, we are all 10s on the scale of worthiness. Have you ever cheated on your partner? And if so, why did you do that? Okay. You were young, I understand. We make so many reckless and harmful decisions when we're adolescents, don't we? A large part of that is because our frontal lobe is not fully developed until after the age of 21. So sometimes our judgment and perception of consequences is very skewed. That's why we find that teenagers often do a lot of stupid things, so to speak. Okay, next question. Have you ever felt dependent on substances like alcohol, cannabis, any pills, or other hard drugs or designer drugs such as Molly, heroin, crack? Okay. Yes, I do not believe that that qualifies as a drug either. What is your biggest adversity you've ever overcome? Oh, wow. Wow, that's very, very big. And how well that you are so resilient to pick up the pieces and keep moving forward. That's a gift. Well done. Okay, What is your relationship with your father like? Okay. Complicated. I understand that. Yeah. Great. Thank you for the transparency in your answers. It makes this much easier for both of us. What do you see when you look in the mirror? I hear that we do often see all of our flaws first. We have to retrain the brain sometimes to see all of us in our wholeness. And we do that through attending to and healing some wounds that we've acquired throughout our lifetime. Do you feel understood by the people around you? Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Very good. What is the number one thing you are most proud of? That's wonderful. That is such a wonderful accomplishment. Okay, I really hear why that makes you so proud. Have you ever had a near-death experience? No, but you want to? Yeah, that's funny. Okay, I understand. And similar to that question, do you believe in God? Or goddess? Or gods? Divine love? Spirit? Okay. Now, here's one that's very interesting to me and one that all of us can really relate to. So I hope that you take a moment to think about this one. What is the event or conversation that still, after many years, pops into your mind when you are trying to fall asleep? You have a lot? So do I. Yes. And part of what we do together and what I do myself is learning to let go. And how do we bring loving kindness to those events or experiences? Maybe it's forgiveness to self, what could be a variety of things. And how can we release those from having such a hold on us? And isn't it just fascinating how right when we want to fall asleep, something pops into the mind, and the brain is just always so busy like that. It's our best friend and our worst enemy. Okay? Have you ever tried to make yourself vomit because you believed you ate too many calories? Okay. Have you ever worked out more than one time a day? Okay. Have you ever been in therapy before? What did you like about it? Yes, I understand that. There's so much power in our pain being witnessed and held by somebody else. And what scares you about therapy the most? Vulnerability, I understand. And the feelings of discomfort that come when we address our painful life experiences or our bad habits. Yes. Okay. Have you ever been arrested or charged with a crime? Okay. Have you ever witnessed somebody die or seen a dead body? This is assessing for trauma. vicarious trauma also. Okay. What family conflicts have recently unfolded in your life? Okay. Who is the person you get along with the least in your life? This one can be a little difficult for some. Some of us, we might identify a person immediately. Others, we have to think about it. Who do we get along with the least in our life? Yeah, so you still get along with this person. It's just perhaps not at the best. Okay, this is great information. And on the other hand, who gives you the most support in your life? It's very special. I'm so glad that you have that in your life. What was an unspoken rule in your family while growing up? This is asking us to assess on family systems that we grew up in, which have a lot to do with how we are shaped, both environmentally and biologically also. So thinking about the unspoken rule in your family while growing up, this one is hard because it was unspoken. So it requires us to think back a little bit and to look at our family as a whole system and think about what was unspoken. Was it certain gender roles, perhaps? Was it the rule was to not ask a sibling what's the matter because this person was always very volatile and you didn't want to upset the family flow, so to speak. So there are a variety of answers to this. Was it that you never talked about homosexuality? Was it that you never talked about racism? Or was it something around money or affairs or things like that? Or perhaps something not as substantial? It does take some time to think about. If you can't answer that now, that's okay. We can come back to it. Okay? And we're reaching the end here. We have just a few more questions. Who do you wish you had a better relationship with? Yeah, it sounds like there's some long-standing pain between the two of you, resentment. I hear that. Okay. Great. We can talk more about that also. And if you wish you had a better relationship with that person, what would you say to that person to begin the repair? This one's difficult. Take a moment to think about it. Yeah. Sounds like that would be a great start. What is something you have done or said in your life that makes you feel love or compassion towards yourself? What is something you have done or said in your life that makes you feel love or compassion towards yourself? Good. Good. There can be more than one answer to that question. Oftentimes we might have a few experiences where we feel love towards ourselves or compassion towards ourselves. Even if we didn't feel it at the time of the experience, part of growing is realizing and integrating life in such a way that we can go back and offer love and compassion to ourselves at that time if it wasn't there. I'm so glad that you have these experiences where you have felt that towards yourself. Okay, so we are reaching the end. We have our very last question here. And that question is sort of a yes or no answer, but I invite you to elaborate whether your answer is yes or no. Are you aware that you have within you the capacity to grow and evolve mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you wish? And that capacity fills you with so much worthiness and so much love. So the question is, are you aware that you have within you wonderful gifts so worthy of love? Yeah, right. It can be easy to say yes, because I guess so. It can also be easy to say no, that maybe we don't feel that way. Whatever your answer, it is okay. All right. Are there any questions that you would like to go back to before we conclude this questionnaire? Okay. Right. Yes, many of these questions targeted things like regret, and that helps us understand how stuck you are with certain events in your life versus having moved through them, letting go, and integrating them. Asking about relationships is assessing your capacity to relate both romantically and non-romantically with people in your life. We were talking about sexuality or sex in general. That gives up some information around your development over the lifespan. This is very important to think holistically about an individual and thinking about their entire life up until this point. We did mention some eating disorder stuff, wanting to ask and inquire about disordered eating. And some painful childhood memory. Again, yes, this is also that we reflect over the lifespan. We don't get stuck or hung up in the past. It gives us a foundation and sort of a springboard in which to move forward, both in therapy and personally outside of the therapy room. All right, I thank you so much for participating in this with me. I very much enjoyed hearing your answers, and I look forward to doing this again sometime with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.